Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I am James Hongs, the founder of Telehealth Today. Today is Monday, July 29th, 2024. And as always, we have a new and great, wonderful speaker for you. So without further ado, today, let me introduce you to Shawn Michael, who is a coach at Success and Blueprint Consulting and specializes in mindset and accountability for entrepreneurs. So Shawn, please take it away. The stage is yours. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, James, and good morning. Happy Monday to everybody watching. If you're watching us live, if you're watching the replay, I hope you had a great Monday. So I'm Shawn Michael. As James said, I work with my own company, Success Blueprint Consulting, in the area of coaching. One of my taglines is empowering entrepreneurs, founders, and leaders to achieve more in life, business, and relationships. In my time today, I would like to provide some insights to my role as a coach, give you just a little glimpse of what you could expect if you were to join me in a transformative journey. My goal, my ultimate objective, is to empower clients to empower you to design a strategic plan so that you can lead a more fulfilling life that's aligned with your biggest goals, your deepest aspirations. Every one of us has a big desire in life, a blissful romantic partnership, a thriving business, contributing to others, being an excellent, exceptional parent, or just having a better, happier life, better well-being. But regardless of your goals, my commitment to you, to anyone listening, is to guide you towards realizing those goals. I want to make today's time as practical and impactful as possible. And my goal is by the end of this session, you'll actually feel like you actually started working with me, a little glimpse, a little taste of coaching. So first of all, if you're watching, get a note-taking apparatus, your mobile phone, your iPad, your notepad with a pen, whatever you need. And I want you to write down what you want your life to look like 5 years from now. Just write something simple, write it quick, happily married, six-figure income, healthy, engaged in my community, contributing to some endeavor. Give you just a second. Now, if you've written that down, what would have to happen 1 year from now? What would have to be true? What would you need to obtain that 5-year goal? What would you have had to accomplish just 1 year from now? Jot that down. You might write down, lost 20 pounds, met the man or woman of my dreams, changed careers, started a business, whatever it is. Write something quick and easy. As you're writing that, I want you to think about what would have to happen in 1 month in order for that 1-year goal to materialize. What are the things that you would need to have true in the next month so that you could bring this goal to reality? You see, this is the first step, is to create a compelling vision of the future you want. What is it going to take to move you from here where you are to that ideal future? Step 2 is we'll look at what are the challenges? What would stop you from reaching that goal, reaching that dream? I want to tell you the most common obstacle globally, worldwide, is your focus, your predominant thoughts, and your deeply ingrained beliefs. Imagine this. Maybe your first step involves completing your dissertation or passing some licensing exam. And your thoughts are going in your head. Oh, it's too difficult. I have a hard time concentrating. I'm not good enough. I'm not proficient enough. Tell me, what do you think the odds of you getting the success that you seek? Maybe you want to find a romantic partner and you're like, I'm overweight, I'm too short, tall, shy, unattractive. Enter other aspect here. Again, you don't have much chance of realizing your goal if that's your thoughts. So my goal in the second step is to help you move away from these self-sabotaging, self-defeating beliefs and help you see the path to rewiring these thoughts, that give you to help you build the mindset that will help you reach those goals. I've been asked, okay, I realize I have these limiting thoughts. What can I do? They're there all the time. They just come. Can't stop them. You see, this is not an easy task. It's not effortless. It's going to take work because these thoughts, these beliefs are ingrained in us for years. Our teachers, our parents, other adults, boss, whatever. They've fed us these ideas that we believe of. Even society, the media, it programs our mind. But it's not as difficult as you might think. The reality is if we give a big enough consequence to cause you discomfort and pain, the shift becomes very easy. Give you an example. A colleague had a client. She needed to lose weight for health reasons. She swore, I love cookies and I can't stop eating them. I'm addicted to cookies. She ate so many every day. In her mind, it was beyond her control. She couldn't do anything about it. So the coach worked with her, talked about what the doctor told her about how important it was to lose the weight and gain her health. She just insisted. She says, but I can't stop eating these cookies. So the coach, this is what the coach said. He says, I want you to do this. On any day that you eat more than one cookie, you have to bake 24 cookies from scratch, no mix. Take them to your local women's shelter. On the next day, if you eat more than one cookie, again, bake 24 cookies from scratch, take them to the women's shelter, and continue day by day. On the days that you eat only one cookie, no baking required, no deliveries required. He told her, if you're going to continue to destroy your health, at least this way, some positive comes out of it, because those cookies would brighten the day of the women at the shelter. Client reluctantly agreed. For the first several days, of course, she couldn't eat just one cookie. So she was baking a lot of cookies and taking them to the shelter. The result was the women loved her. They got to know her. They were excited to see her. She even made some friends. Well, the cookies were such a hit at the shelter. She decided, hey, I could do this as a business with my grandchildren. And so they started going to the farmer's market near them and selling the cookies every week. Here's what happened. Eventually, the smell of cookies baking, like she couldn't stand it. She actually felt nauseous and stopped eating the cookies. In the path of this, she lost her weight. She contributed to the women's shelter, which was very much appreciated. She made some new friends. She connected with her grandchildren in a very special way. And they actually run a successful business together. That's what I want for anyone I work with, is success in every or many areas. You see, this woman had a limiting belief, a belief that she couldn't stop eating cookies. But her coach showed her that by changing the experience, that her belief was false. It was not true. So I'll ask you, in your notebook, write down one or two of your own limiting beliefs. There'll be the phrases you often say to yourself, like, I'm not good at math. I'm really shy. I can't do that. These beliefs are, we'll call them incantations, and they keep us from getting and accomplishing what we really want. So here's the trick. Write down whatever the two you wrote, the negative limiting beliefs. Write an opposite. You know, if you said, I can't do this, I can do it. Or my favorite word, the magical word, yet. I can't do this yet. But I can learn how to do it. I can apply myself to my goals. And over the next few days, whenever that negative thought comes in, that negative incantation comes in your mind, immediately say to yourself your positive incantations. You see, our beliefs are related to our emotions. Our emotions are based on our physiology, the things we're focusing on, the meaning we're giving to events. You might say, it sounds difficult. It's really quite simple. In my training, we called it the triad. So at this point, Werner or James, can I get a volunteer?
Sure.
All right. So, James, what I want you to do is show us what depressed looks like. Bring up a thought, imagine, act it out. Show us what you look like when you're depressed.
Well, okay, but if I'm depressed, you're probably gonna have to dig just to find me or to talk to me. Because I'm gonna be avoiding a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, but what would you look like in your face? I mean, we only see your shoulders and your face. What would it look like?
I'd be
So everybody, I want you to notice James is hiding. He's kind of leaning forward. His shoulders are forward. His breathing's probably changed. What James is showing us is he's showing the physiology of depression. James, what did you have to bring to your mind to bring up this depressed feeling? Did you bring something into your mind?
I don't know, possibly just a memory of my own actions when I'm more depressed.
All right. Were there any of those negative incantations that you thought of?
Not necessarily because I didn't look at it personal. I just looked at it like I'm playing a role.
All right. All right, now the fun part. I hate doing that part. Show me happy. What do you look like when you're joyful? And I don't know if anybody noticed, but I saw James's look change that fast. Because who doesn't like happy, right? Everybody loves to be happy, loves to be joyful. What kind of thoughts come into your head to be happy, James?
I don't know. Usually I have a pair of drumsticks sitting on my desk here. I was looking for them because when you say happy, I like pick them up. Because a lot of times maybe I pick up my drumsticks. I used to play snare and have a set.
That gave me two perfectly ones. I constantly find myself drumming on stuff to random beats in my head. James, I want to say thank you. Did everyone notice how easily James could go from his existing state to looking depressed to happy? You see, we've all been programmed. Culture, life has taught us that emotions are out of our control. They just happen. It's not true. Our emotions are what we do. We do joy, we do depression, we change our physiology, we change what we focus on, we change the meanings of the events. So as you're watching, take your notes, write out a list of emotions you experience on any given week. Just write them quick. Don't worry about filtering. Positive, negative, doesn't matter. Just write out a bunch of emotions that you feel on a given week. So I'm going to spotlight Werner here real quick. How many emotions would you say you feel in a week, Werner? Positive or negative?
That's hard to say. How many emotions a week? Maybe 20, 10 to 20. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, it depends on how I cluster them.
Yeah, exactly. The truth is, most people would write down around 6.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of words in our languages for emotions. I actually looked it up. German, Arabic, Portuguese, Turkish. There's up to 500 different words for emotions. And if you get really creative, it could go up to 1,000. The reality is we kind of experience the same emotions over and over and over again. So the next activity I would ask everybody watching, look at your list, start a new column, write just positive emotions, and write them in order of importance to you. So your most positive emotion at the beginning, then your second, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now I want everybody to think about 3 things that have to happen, that have to be true for your top 2 positive emotions to be. For example, if your top emotion was joy, what has to happen for you to feel joy? If it's love, what has to happen? Write down 3 things that have to happen. Would anyone like to share what their top emotion is?
Shawn, this is Dimitri. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, would you say like a more neutral emotion can be regarded as positive? Like I wrote down calmness and meditative. Would that be framed as positive?
Definitely.
Uh,
When we say positive, often people think joy, happiness, excitement, but I totally appreciate calmness, meditative, because those are positive states. I can feel very good in that moment. But it's, as you said, it's kind of neutral. It's not like I'm like,
yes.
oh.
And the prerequisites, what needs to happen to achieve that state?
Yeah. Would you be willing to share
Sure.
one of your prerequisites?
Okay. Not having to work as hard, having no distractions, no stressors to maintain negative reinforcement. I would say those top 3 things.
Is it easy or difficult to have those things happen for you?
I would say difficult because life is demanding.
Now, the things that are required for you to achieve those, how could you change it so that you could experience that calmness, that meditativeness?
I would say in the short term, blocking out time, dedicating time for that, and in a more longer term, uh, changing changing like the work-life balance in in a meaningful way, which takes time, which is why I say it's long term to achieve this stated objective.
For example, myself, I forced myself to get up earlier so that I could have 20 to 30 minutes all to myself at the first
That's a
thing of
good
my
one.
day, right? I get up at 5:30, my wife's still sleeping. She'd just as soon sleep till 8 if I let her, but she can't. Unfortunately, I have a 6-year-old and he's an early riser like dad, so that can be challenging. Actually, a few days ago, I was doing my meditation, got my eyes closed. I'm totally trying to get into my meditative state. And you know how even when your eyes closed, you can sense someone's around staring at you? I felt that. And then
Okay.
somebody pinches my nose. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, honey, this is important. Daddy is more at peace through the whole day if I do this alone. Please, 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 let daddy have this time. You can have me the rest of the day. This is daddy's time, please. So yeah, it can be challenging. I totally understand. But by reframing, shifting, like you said, blocking out specific time, whatever works for the person. For me, I needed to get up earlier. We all know our life. We all know what will work for us. But the reality is each of us creates our own rules to determine the emotions we experience and how frequently we get to experience these. You see, every one of us has 6 basic needs. They are the basis for every choice we make in our life. So get your notes out. I'm going to go through these relatively quickly in the interest of time. The first need is certainty. We want to feel safe. We want to feel comfortable. We want to avoid pain. Everybody needs a little bit of certainty, right? A roof over your head, knowing where your next meal comes from. What do I do if I get sick? Knowing my neighbor's not going to sneak in my house in the middle of the night. Everybody wants that to some degree. The next is uncertainty or variety, excitement, emotional, physical change. Our bodies, our minds, our emotional well-being, they all require a certain degree of uncertainty, which could be exercise, suspense, surprise. The third is significance. We want to feel important. We want to feel needed, wanted, etc. The fourth is love and connection. We want to connect with other human beings. We want to feel love. Number 5, growth. One of my mentors says, when we stop growing, we die. So we're always growing, we're always learning. It might be physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, but we all need to grow at some level. And the final need is contribution. This is stepping outside of our needs, our desires, and giving it to other people. Life is incomplete without feeling like I'm building a future, I'm giving something to the betterment of humankind, leaving my mark, my legacy. So I hope everybody wrote those 6 human needs. What I want you to do as you're watching, as you're listening, put them in order in your, like, quickly up from your mind, what's the most important to you? And put them in order from most important to least important. Anybody got that list down, willing to share? Like what?
Still working on
what's
it.
the top? Okay. I just don't want to, I felt bad about leaving in total silence. For me, when I did an actual deep look into this, one of my top needs was growth. And it fits because my wife used to joke that if I could earn a living going to school, I would have the perfect job. And I also say the day I stop learning is the day they put me in a box in the ground. And the only person I can't learn from doesn't exist.
I concur. And actually, before you mentioned that, I wrote down growth as my #1 priority. So after that would be certainty. Um, Significance is in the same position. Love and connection are in the same position. #4. 5, some uncertainty, some variety. And I have contribution as the last, but growth comes up as #1 from #5 to #1 in my case.
Dimitri, since you've shared, do you feel like there's any contradiction in that? As an example,
Okay.
someone who has certainty at the top of the list and then
Yes.
the next one is uncertainty, they're going to clash, they're going to conflict a bit.
Oh, in the original list, yes, I would say so, yes. But I've ranked uncertainty in the reordered list as #5. But I see what you're trying to say. It is somewhat rather contradictory.
Right. And another example is someone who has a high need for significance, and then the following need is love and connection. It's really hard to love someone who always has to feel important. It's why a lot of very, very successful people tend to have difficulty in close relationships and might often say that they don't feel truly loved. So looking again at these 6 human needs, the first 4, certainty, variety, love and connection, and significance, are what we call essential needs. We all need them for our very survival. They're fundamental personality needs. We have to have met them in some way, at some level. The last 2, growth and contribution, are what we call the spiritual needs. So, Dimitri, since you said that growth is at your top, and
Yes.
you mentioned earlier about meditative and calmness, I think you're very connected with your spiritual side, so that fits that your growth is up at the top.
I'm not too much of a religious person. I do not attend church regularly, but I try to, connect with myself other ways.
I'm also not a religious person, but I am a very spiritual person.
Yes, I think
And I
that's
feel like
possible,
those are
yeah.
very distinct. I think sometimes people cross them up, but you can be spiritual and not be religious. And you
Agreed.
can be religious and not very spiritual. I have some friends that are very religious. They go to their thing religiously, but outside of that, they're like different people. The reality is all of these needs can be satisfied in positive ways, be fulfilled in negative ways. Some are easy to fulfill, and sometimes they can be difficult. They might be good for the person, good for others, good for society, or they might be bad for everyone. As an example, certainty, going to school, obtaining a degree so that you can earn a good living, or do as little as you can and avoid conflict and challenges. You could be stealing money or hoarding money or material possessions. Or going back to the religious people, holding tightly to some dogma or doctrine. Those are all fulfill certainty. Uncertainty. You can fulfill it by reading about different subjects, meeting different types of people, or get involved in high-risk sports or violent behavior where you're risking your life, or another one, watch TV, watch a movie, live vicariously through somebody else. There's plenty of content on the internet watching people do risky, stupid stuff. Significance. You can lead it by being the best or by being the worst. Love and connection. We can get it through good deeds, being kind, or by dominating people and forcing them to show us appreciation. Growth. Grow to be a better person. Or you can be an absolutely despicable human being. You can contribute to the destructions of others or to the well-being of many. So there's a lot of different ways we fulfill these needs. That's what we were doing, is we look at what has to happen in our definition, according to our meaning, for us to fulfill, to check off, yep, I fulfilled that need. We call these the vehicles. Now, in your notebook, take 2 of the most important needs on your list. Write down a few things that you feel you can check off. I met that need. Write down what, simple, what do you do to fulfill those needs? What has to happen? So as you're writing, think about, does it make it easy for you to meet that need, or do you find it hard to meet the need? Like we did for emotions. Are these vehicles good for you? Do they benefit others? Are they good for the common well-being of others around us? So I know, as I said, growth is one of my top needs. And the way I do that is I read a lot every day. Again, I had to schedule focused time because for a time I was like, oh, how many time to read? I have a small child, blah, blah, blah. But I sat myself down and I said, okay, schedule dedicated reading time so that I can get that growth need fulfilled in a positive, beneficial way. Taking courses when I can find the time. That's a little more challenging. Although for video, I started doing all my video lessons at 1.5 speed because studies have shown that you get through the content faster and it doesn't reduce retention. Like you gain the same information, whether it's at 1 speed or 1.5 speed. And as Dimitri was saying, we all have very busy lives and we have thousands of distractions, thousands of, lots of different things wanting our attention, family, friends, etc., emails, etc. So, is anybody willing to share some of their vehicles for fulfilling needs?
I am. You kind of read my mind there because so for growth and certainty, my top 2, for what needs to happen, I specify 3 things. Education / getting info, making the right decisions, and of course, taking action.
All right.
Education, just obtaining, gathering information and using that information, translating it into action.
Great point, because especially in this modern, highly connected world, we become information junkies. A lot of people will watch hours and hours of motivational or educational content, and they feel good, like, hey, I watched this educational video from Alex Hormozy or blah, blah, blah. But your life still hasn't changed. It's you haven't done anything. Like, knowledge is power, but action is the gas. Without action, it doesn't mean anything, does it? We got to take the action. If we don't move the needle, all that knowledge is just, it might make us feel good. It might impress our friends, but in the end, it's futile. It's kind of like, I just had that old Borg comment from Star Trek, resistance is futile. So that's my presentation for today. If anybody has any further questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Shawn, I have a question here. So these 6 basic needs, it sounds a lot like Maslow's hierarchy, but not quite. What would you say is the name for this framework?
It comes from human need. It is built, you're exactly right. It's kind of, you had Maslow wrote his hierarchy of needs a long time ago.
Right.
This is newer therapists, etc., who took that with extra knowledge, because we've gained a lot of knowledge from neuroscience and MRI scans and how the human brain, the human mind works. So it's human need psychology.
Okay.
And if you've ever seen Tony Robbins, it's kind of like part of the guiding force of how he interacts and intervenes with people.
So it can be described as Maslow's hierarchy adapted to human needs psychology.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
good way to put it.
Hi, Mr. Shawn.
Hello, how are
Thank
you?
you for the whole session. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Sorry, my camera is not on. I had a question. I wanted to ask, as we were talking about emotions, I wanted to know, how can we stop overthinking about something that is bothering us? Are there any strategies to overcome this overthinking thing, and that makes us sad and depressed?
Let me ask you, first of all, how would I pronounce your name?
Dr. Umama,
Dr. Umama.
Umammah.
And I'm just curious, where are you from, Dr. Umama?
I'm from Pakistan, basically, yeah.
Pakistan. I was trying, I work with a lot of international people, and I'm pretty good at spotting accents, but I couldn't catch yours.
I've been to many places. I was in Boston for 2 years, so I keep adopting now I'm working in a British school, so I keep changing and adopting the English accent, actually.
We tend to do that. I had somebody from Saudi Arabia, and like, I've picked up accents like that before. I hung out with my friends from Southern US, and I started talking like a redneck. But
yeah.
this person that was actually an English coaching client, he was like, he turned the volume up max on British accent. It was actually a little humorous. But anyway, what have you done, Dr. Umama?
So
What have
I'm
you
a
done
general
so
practitioner.
far? What have you done so far?
Not much, to be honest. I have a family of 2 children. So I prefer giving more time to my family. So from the clinical side, it's not too much. I've had 7+ years of clinical experience, and now I'm working in a school as a school doctor in Dubai.
Right, but what I'm wondering is, what steps, you mentioned overthinking, and then the overthinking starts to spin out of control. and the
Yeah.
emotions come. What steps have you already taken to deal with that?
Number one is trying to keep myself busy, not to get enough time to think too much. Secondly, I have tried meditation. Other than that, I go for a walk that makes me feel better if I'm having some thoughts that is bothering me.
Yeah.
Try to do some exercise. Yeah. Watch some movie just to distract the mind.
I have a client that, sorry, this tends to be a big challenge for women because of the way the female mind works compared to the man. As men, we have little boxes. We have the family box, we have the work box, we have the fun box. And
Yeah.
I remember when my wife learned this from a seminar, we have a nothing box.
That's true.
Like
We
we
have
can
it all
literally go in this
interconnected.
box and there's nothing. Women's mind are like a bowl of spaghetti noodles. Everything's connected to everything. Everything touches everything. There's no separation. It's going a million miles a minute, 24 hours a day. Like, I don't know how any of you sleep.
That's actually true.
You hit on some very powerful tools. Going for a walk, instead of fighting it. Because here's the thing with the way our mind works. If we push back at trying to solve the problem, the mind goes, oh, you like fixing problems. Let me give you the problem so you can try it again. Oh, you still like it? Okay, here it is again. So your mind will just keep giving it to you like, hey, you worked through it last time. Hey, you want to try it again? But my client, she
And
tried the
each
same
time
thing,
it
like
gets
just trying to distract. And then as soon as the world goes quiet, like a wave, right?
yeah.
So a good way to deal with overthinking is think of there's 7 areas of your valued actions. You mentioned spending time with your family. So the
Yeah.
7 areas are physical fitness, which is why walking works, or any type of exercise, or even turning on your favorite song and dance like nobody's watching. It will help clear your mind. The second area is some type of creative expression. Painting, drawing, writing poetry, decorating. In one of my classes, it was my favorite college class because we got the color. It was a college class, but we got the color. We were coloring mandalas.
It actually
Super
helps.
powerful. It's super powerful. 3, your romantic relationships. What are the things you'd love to do with your romantic partner, if you have one? Or what do you like to do to find that romantic partner? The 4th, family and friends. What are the important things that fill your spirit that you do with your kids, your friends, your uncles, your cousins, whatever? All you need is each of these areas, like 2 or 3 actions that just fill you up. You love them. Number 5, relaxation. Right? We're in this always on world. It's very hard to just turn off, even for a minute, right? One of my favorite quotes is, think about all your devices. When it starts having problems, usually just unplug it and plug it back in, or power it down and power it back up. Problem solved. It's true for us too. We need to power down once in a while. We need to unplug and just relax. Just be. Number 6, your business, your job. What are the valued actions in there? What part of that, it just like fills you up, you love it, I can do it all day. And number 7, as adults, kids do this no problem. As adults, we kind of forgot about it. Have fun.
Mhm.
Watch a stupid video of some. I loved it. I found this video on TikTok yesterday. Made me full of joy. It's a groundhog going. And I showed it to my wife and she just laughed. She's like, you have to show that to our son. And I showed it to him and he's like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So do that. Don't be ashamed about it. You know, what is fun for you? Do something fun. So when that overthinking comes or any other negative thoughts like I'm not good enough, I'm not ready yet, such and such doesn't love me, nobody likes me, everybody hates me, and might as well go eat some worms. That was a song I heard when I was a kid. Whatever those are, and the feelings they bring, the insecurity, the sadness, the anxiety, the guilt, the fear. Instead of pushing back at that, you know, just going, oh, hi, I'm gonna go over here and do my action. I'm gonna do something creative. I'm gonna go engage with my kids. I'm gonna go talk to my partner. I'm gonna go for the walk. They will come back. You can't go it away from them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we call it the monkey mind. The monkey mind gets rolling and it gets out of control if we let it. And if we fight it, it just gets stronger.
Mm.
It reminds me of the situation. I don't remember where it was, but these monkeys started stealing cameras and phones from the tourists because the monkeys figured out people will give them treats to get their stuff back.
Yeah, it happened to us as well when we went to the mountains. The monkeys took our stuff and we had to give bananas to get those things back. So yeah,
Monkeys.
and I
I
want to
totally
add one more
understand.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Eating good food also helps sometimes. So my favorite thing is biryani. Maybe you have heard about it. So whenever I
Yes.
eat that, I feel really good and I forget about the worries and things. So yeah,
Yes. Well,
thank you so
and
much.
here's the other thing. Food, sounds, smells, all
Yeah,
of that are what we call anchors,
anchors.
right? They can fire, you can eat that biryani and I'm sure there's memories that go through your head. Maybe a mom
Mhm.
making it when you were a
Yeah.
kid and you're like, oh, yeah. Because we
Even good
love
perfumes
meatloaf night.
also. Yeah.
Now, here's a little trick. So we form these anchors automatically. Certain sounds, smells, etc., can bring back a really positive memory and we feel great, or they can trigger that negative emotion. There is a tool that I teach my clients called where we actually consciously set an anchor, where they can actually create their own trigger point to trigger the emotion that they want to feel. Confidence, happiness, joy. But as we said at the beginning, it also has a lot to do with physiology.
Mhm.
I did about 6 years of tutoring English, sitting at my desk. I was burnt out. Like, I'm like, hello, I'm Shawn Michael. How are you today? I was like, I was getting like bad ratings and I actually got an email from the company like, you were distracted doing something else and don't do that anymore. I shifted my desk to a standing desk. Everything changed. That one simple step from sitting at my desk 6 hours a day to standing at my desk 6 hours a day, everything changed. So just getting to a different room, a different position of our body. I just heard this recently. The men will appreciate this. Just the action of puffing out your chest and pulling your shoulders, your testosterone goes up.
Mhm.
And with more testosterone, you feel stronger, you feel more confident, you're ready to attack your challenges.
Interesting.
You
Thank you
have to
so much.
remember
for the
this and this are deeply connected.
Mhm. Thank you. It was really lovely to listen to you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions?
I got one for you. Before I ask it, I have a few comments that you might like that I kind of go with some of the things you said. One thing I'll say, two other speakers said this over the last 20 years. It stuck with me because I liked it so much. They say, knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. I've always liked that, and I've always applied that. You said that, and that was good. And I like what you just talked about anchors too. I've actually heard studies that things like cooking baked bread makes people better people for whatever reason. Just the smell of the bread, and it brings out. So it's one thing you were talking about. And to furthermore on that point, I've heard of big name hotels embedding scents into their lobbies, like smell scents, so that people remember the scent and it triggers the positive emotions that they have at the hotel. So what you're saying is definitely real stuff. I do appreciate it. It was a pleasure listening. Here's one question I have for you. And this goes back to, I don't know if you've ever seen the comic where the guys are digging for gold and they can't see anything because they're in this tunnel and they're just digging. The only thing they see is the tunnel. And one guy gives up and he's this close to the gold, and the other guy actually hits the gold. So my question is, when you say, a month, a year, what needs to happen, how do you determine if you're right there and almost there, or if you need, a month or a year or certain circumstances to align to hit your goal? Like, how do you determine whether it's long-term, short-term goal, or how close you are in making the progress if you don't know how close you are to that goal?
So, we've all heard of the SMART goals, right? I've heard of them 100 times. like it's escaping my mind. But I think that's when resilience comes in, because Napoleon Hill wrote a book, 3 Feet from Gold, because a lot of people throughout history were that close to finding them, as they said in the gold rush, because I grew up in California in gold country, the mother lode, right? If they just had continued, right? Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite authors. I'm actually getting ready to go back and reread Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about it all the time. Like, you just got to keep pushing, keep your thoughts, and set your definite chief aim. Like, what, like I said, the 5-year goal. What is it you want? What does your ideal life look like for you? Some people, it might be, 6, 7, 8-figure business. Some people would be just like peace at home. So we have to, I work with the client to help them get into their deepest recesses and find out what they really want. Maybe the dream they forgot about because they've been so busy with life. So we work together to get the big dream and then chop it into a smaller piece, like I did in the exercise, right? 5-year down to 1 year, down to 1 month, to what do you have to do tomorrow? What is the one step you could take tomorrow that would move you 1 step closer to that goal? And never, ever give up. If you really want the goal, I've heard it said, and the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, that was cold. If someone says, I want this, the coach said, no, you don't. And they're like, wait, what do you mean? Because if you wanted it, you would have already had it. because it's not usually the environment, the economy, or any of that that stops us from reaching this goal. It's here. I love you mentioned the comment about the two guys digging and the one keeps going and he finds the treasure. The one I love is the horse tied to one of those plastic garden chairs. That horse could drag that chair forever and never care, but he stayed attached. Or the story, the elephant, right? They train them when they're really small. They attach them to this little stake that elephant could pull out like that. But even as they get big enough to even move a car, they won't pull that stake out. So our only limit is in our own mind. We just need the right people around us to help us see our blind spots and unlock it.
It's good. Thank you. And unless there's any more questions, I think that was a good place to leave it.
Oh, it says Dimitri's talking, but I don't.
No, I was about to say, no questions from me, but a fantastic presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you for your help and your interaction. And to Dr. Mama and your great questions, James. And your engagement too, Werner. Made it better.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you especially, Shawn, for the great presentation. And as always, anyone watching the replay, if you want to book with Shawn, if you want to talk to him, if you want to get into your human mind and improve yourself, book with him on telehealthtoday.net. And until next Monday, we'll see everyone. Thank you.